Okay, good evening, everyone. Thank you. All right, tonight we continue with Master YongHua's story about Great Master Fa Xian. Fa Xian. He supposedly was even a bigger contributor to Chinese Buddhism than Great Master Xuanzang, who brought the Indian Buddhist scriptures back to China and translated them. Okay, so we hear the story of how Master Fa Xian, he left the home life at a very early age, and then he stayed there and cultivated the ascetic practices as a youngster, and he was very known for that. And in particular, he also encountered some bandits who tried to rob the temples of the rice harvest. And when the bandits came, the monks and all the temple people ran away in terror, and he stuck behind and he talked to the bandits. And he reasoned with them. He said, you know, the reason you're poor, you're hungry, is because you didn't plant enough blessings in the past. And therefore, if you continue to rob and do these evil ways, you even be poorer in the future. And these bandits heard that, and they were awakened to the principle, and they decided not to rob the temple. Okay, so that's where we left off from last night. Last night we were in a hurry, so we heard some comments quickly. One of which is quite a few comments, and there's still one comment outstanding, but I don't see Go Yin here. Is he here? Okay, anyone has any comments? Questions about this? All right. So last night I said the Chinese seems to be impressed by this story. Says how a youngster can speak Dharma to evil people and convince them not to do evil things, and that's pretty impressive, especially for a young monk. So he does have wisdom. Not only did he have wisdom, he also has samadhi power as well to be able to be so persuasive to a group of very very ferocious, very mean bandits. Okay, so it's pretty impressive. This is to remind you that Buddhism cultivation is not talk. We do all this hard work. We make sacrifices we suffer in order to build our samadhi power and open our wisdom. And this is the result. That's the results you see from that young monk called Fa Xian. All right? So that's a very important point right there. Okay, to practice ascetic practices, it's very, very tough, very hard. Okay, and those are the secret recipes that the Buddhist monks and nuns have in order to advance their spiritual practices. Okay, all right. So it's meant for you to practice them. It's not meant for us to explain to you why. Okay. But these are have been proven to work for Mahayana cultivators. Okay, now, so my problem last night with this that I brought up last night with this story was that I felt that Fa Xian, even though he's accomplished a great feat for the temple, he lacked compassion. I was not concerned about the rise of the temple. The temple seems to be doing well. And so if they rob one harvest, big deal. Okay, and they can still have money to go buy more rice somewhere else. And So for him to stop them is not really kind, because these people are hungry and they haven't eaten, and the family needs food, and if they didn't rob the temple, I fear they will go and rob someone else, and bad things will happen. Because they become hungrier after this. Yes, conch. Hey, conch is empty. How can I be asking questions?
Oh,
Microphone. Go ahead, microphone.
hello.
We can hear you.
Master, back in days, I don't know if there is a rice shop.
A rice shop?
I don't know, back in days in China, do they have a rice shop? Rice shop, like they can go buy rice. Back in days in the mountain?
What kind of question is that?
I'm just curious, like maybe the monk did that because maybe the environment is different.
What did you have for
Because
lunch?
back in days, they don't have shops to go buy
No,
rice.
answer me. What did you have for lunch?
Fruits and nuts.
No wonder. Nuts. Stop eating nuts. Okay, so why? Of course, there are rice shops back then, because rice is a staple for the Chinese people. There are rice shops everywhere. Okay, so why do you ask about rice shops?
No, because I think like back in days, in old days, I watched the Korean soap opera of the old days. They don't have stores to go buy rice. Like if they ruin the one season of the rice farming, they have to go hungry.
Well, I don't know about that. I think people store rice somewhere, and they have to buy rice from somewhere. Okay, so that shouldn't be a problem. My problem is as I said, this young guy, pretty smart, pretty wise, but he lacks compassion. He hasn't been taught compassion, that these people are suffering, and he was more concerned about the temple than for these people. Okay, and that is not compassionate at all. Okay, so that's very Hinayana kind of thinking. Yeah, it's the right thing to do, it's a proper thing to do, but it's still Hinayana. Okay, in Mahayana we don't work like that. We look at people first. Okay, even if they come to the temple with the wrong reasons, okay, we still look at them first and see how we can help them. Not put the temple before them. And that's not how Mahayana people cultivate. Okay? Keep that in mind. We don't put people before, the temple before people. All right? So one thing, for example, he could have done if he were smarter, if he had more compassion, is that, I tell you what, don't take all of the rice. We need the rice, this harvest for the temple. Because usually they take the harvest and eat for the entire year, right? Or at least for a long time. And so he said, I tell you what, you're hungry, so don't be too greedy. Each one of you grab a bag of rice and go. Okay? So that you can go back and feed your family. Okay? So that's what a mature person would have done. But this boy here was only thinking of right and wrong. Okay? Sounds familiar? Huh? You people is always thinking about right and wrong. It's not such a thing in Mahayana. Okay. All right. Any other comments? Yes, 4.
Thank you, Master. Obviously, I agree with you about the compassion issue, although I have to admit I didn't see that, or that wasn't my initial takeaway from the story. I appreciate you pointing it out.
Okay.
I do feel like it's still pretty impressive behavior from a novice in the context of the other sangha and abbot that he is surrounded by. He still was the only person to engage with the bandits, and while his dharma may have been kind of like, super long term, like your future karma will be bad, you won't have hands, stealing is bad, you should stop immediately. And it wasn't like immediate compassion, knowing that they're hungry. Mm-hmm. It still feels like, to me, it's very well intentioned, if not maybe, and not, of course, to my level, not the wisest thing to do.
You're right. It also has wisdom. It's consistent with the proper Dharma. I'm just saying that sometimes, because his level is low, sometimes you have to be flexible and look at the circumstances. These people, they're hungry. The families are hungry. The kids are hungry. They're hurting. They're in pain. So we need to relieve their pain first. Okay? And that has happened before anything good can happen. Because look, if their hungers are not quelled, they could go and behave more badly in the next stop. Okay, bad things will happen, and then who's going to be responsible? You have a hand in that as well. If you're the one who could have prevented it. Okay, so. You can't think too long-term all the time. There's a compromise. There's a middle way. Yes?
Yes, thank you, Master. And so I think, hearing your response, my question is, who in this environment is this novice, Faxian's good knowing advisor to help him progress and learn the wisdom that you're talking about now?
Very good. Okay, I come to that. I'm coming to that. Okay, hold on to that thought. There's another question here from spy number 2.
Master, so if let's say he agreed to them and he said, yeah, why don't you each one take a bag and take it home? Does that mean he's giving it to them and they are not dealing with the karma of like robbing a temple?
Good question. I don't know the answer for that. You Hinayana person. That's pretty good. Mm-hmm. All right. Anyone who would like to shoot her down? The spy number 2. Just because she's a girl doesn't mean we have to be nice to her. Huh? Shoot her down. Yes, 4. It's so obvious. It's right there. Go ahead, 4.
Thank you, Master. I'm not trying to be nice or mean with this response, to clarify. I feel like the novice or the sangha in this circumstance would hold that karma in their hands. If they chose to give the bandits the rice, they would be removing the stealing karma.
Yes, number 1. Sunim there. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
아까는 소승하고 대승을 말씀하셨는데 그 도적들한테 쌀을 안 주고 보내는 것이 소승이라고 하셨는데 오히려 도적보다 저를 먼저 생각했다고 저는 이해를 했거든요. 그런데 오히려 아까 인가법을 따졌을 때 그 도적들한테 쌀을 줘서 그 다음에 또 그 훔친 거를 가지고 계속 하게 된다면 오히려 그 사람한테 더 나쁘기 때문에 그 사람을 위주로 생각한다면 그것이 더 대승법이 아닐까 생각이 들었습니다.
You notice in how the Koreans, when they talk, and then when they end, they kind of lower the thing. They all talk like that. It's so Korean, For us, when we end, we can, we have so many ways to end. We raise a voice, but all Koreans, they always, Go ahead, translation.
So, Master, you mentioned about Hinayana and Mahayana, and when not giving rice to the bandit, and then think about himself. You said he was Hinayana, and then when you think about the aspects of cause and effect, giving rice, and it's not eventually not good for the bandit, and then I think that's more Mahayana way of thinking.
Okay. Yes. Anyone else? Let me stress to you, Hinayana is so stuck on right and wrong. It's so obvious. They're so scared of creating offenses. We are not afraid to create offenses if it helps others. Okay? I'm not saying about you. You should be afraid to create offenses until you have wisdom. But the people wisdom in Mahayana, because Hinayana people, they don't have wisdom. That's why they're so scared. But Mahayana people who have wisdom, okay, that's a qualifier. Don't just go out and then start creating offenses. Master said I shouldn't be afraid to create offenses. Okay? I know many of you are so happy. Oh, I'm liberated. Master gave me the green light. No. When you have wisdom, meaning after you've been certified that you have wisdom, then you don't always have to be worried about cause and effect. Because in this particular example, when I said, if I were him, of course he doesn't have that kind of wisdom because he's still at Hinayana level of wisdom. He only saw right and wrong. So he said, you do this is wrong, therefore you're going to be in trouble. It's correct. It's proper Dharma. However, my perspective, I said, what about the pain and suffering? It may be right, but the pain and suffering needs to be relieved. Okay? And we are in a position to provide them relief. And therefore, it's our responsibility to do that. Is that clear? The Mahayana, we worry about, the suffering, the compassion. That's what it's about. Hinayana said, no, this is against the rule. This is against cause and effect. And therefore, you shouldn't do it. It's always correct to teach that. However, when I said, why don't you each take a bag or two? You, the stronger ones, looks like you need to eat more. Does it sound familiar? Okay, take 2 bags. Okay? And so take a bag and go. Take 2 bags and go. Okay? That is a good compromise. And then this Hinayana person says, but there's still this offense that's not being resolved. And my answer is, have you figured it out yet? Whose offense? The bandits didn't steal. Your question is about what about the offenses for the bandit in taking the rice? There's no offense at all because it's the young monk who says, you take it. So whose offense is it? It's the young monk's offense. Okay? Bandits have no problems. And this is Mahayana girl because we suffer on their behalf. Instead of letting them steal from us, we steal from the temple first and give it to them. You get it?
Master, my question was that they would not be committing any offense if he did that.
Is that what you said?
That was the question.
Okay, now we are on the same agreement.
But then I didn't know that the monk committed the offense of stealing.
Of course, someone has to steal.
Oh, thank you, Master.
Better be the monk than those people. Someone has to suffer. We have to suffer. We should suffer. So that others don't have to suffer. What are you talking about? You think you help people relieve suffering by go away suffering, and we're all happy. Someone has suffered, and so therefore we should suffer. Hinayana people are too smart. He says, if you do that, it's a lot of suffering, and I'm not willing to take on the suffering. Mahayana people, we are different. He says, yeah, I know stealing is pretty bad, but if I don't steal, these people will suffer, so I steal, so that I will suffer for them. See, this is Hinayana teaching. I don't like it. His level is Hinayana, that's why he explained to them, and it's pretty good level. Pretty good samadhi level to convince these evil people, hungry people, okay, afflicted people. But it still falls short of our standards. Yes, number 9.
From San Jose, Daniel. Master, don't bad intentions and thoughts have retribution as well?
Yes. They will come when you meditate. Okay? It's not as bad as for you physically stealing. So, because those thoughts, or those evil thoughts that you have of stealing and of killing and so forth, when you meditate, those thoughts will arise again, will harass you, and make you stand up, makes you afflicted, makes you so upset and so afflicted you can't sit anymore. Okay? But if you were to steal, physically steal the rice, for example, then when you meditate, it's not just the thoughts. Someone will actually go and steal your car. Okay? So it becomes a retribution that's physical. Okay, so what happened to the young abbot? There's a young monk and an old monk, you know that. Anyway, doesn't matter. Good thing he's not there. Okay, now, there's another point here. Yes, 9. Go ahead.
Master, if you steal rice, the other person doesn't steal your rice, they can steal your car? It's not an eye for an eye?
Not always. In the future, there's no more rice. People don't eat rice anymore. They eat bread. Yes, by number 2.
Master, regarding this stealing karma, so one time I was supposedly doing something good. I was reciting Earthstore Bodhisattva something in some kind of Dharma assembly, and then I parked my car like right in front of the temple, and my car got broken and my phone got stolen. But fortunately, before that, I somehow had the idea to get out my ID. So does that mean it was my previous stealing karma that I was paying back?
Probably.
I stole from the temple or something?
No, stole from the Mexican guy. Not from the temple. Would never steal it back from you. Oh, we're not that desperate. Poor but not desperate. Yes, 6.
Master, going back to the an eye for an eye question, let's say, for example, that I steal 1 pound of rice from someone that doesn't have anything else in the world. Because maybe I believe like it's not the same robbing from someone that doesn't have anything that someone that has everything. So maybe in the future, if I take that pound of rice, that is only a pound of rice, it could be like worse for me because that was everything they had at that moment.
Yeah, it's worse to steal from someone who only has the rice. So in the future, they come and rob your wife. I don't know. What do you want me to know, to say? It change, each case is different. But the severity is worse for the people who are poor when you steal from them versus the people who are rich. With the temple, for them to lose 1 harvest is not a big deal. Or lose 30 pounds, 30 bags of rice is not a big deal. Okay? So, but my problem, another problem I have is this. This story it has many layers, and we can discuss it to death when we don't have that kind of time. This is my problem, okay? This is a person with tremendous potential, 发现, okay? And therefore, if it is the responsibilities, someone has the responsibility to teach him properly. That's the question earlier, yes? Who's going to teach him? Okay, because the guy has so much potential. At a young age, he can speak, he can convince bandits already. Okay? So who is responsible for teaching this guy? Typically, in a temple, is the abbot. The Buddhist system is different from the other systems where they have seniority and so forth. The Buddhist system, actually, believe it or not, is actually wisdom. Okay? We promote people out of wisdom, based on wisdom, not because simply of seniority. Seniority is for you people. You come to the temple, we place our people by seniority, fine, okay? And it's easy for you to understand, okay? But what really happens inside temples is that the abbot is really the person who is responsible for training. Okay? And so this lesson here is for my 2 abbots, okay? The old monk and the young monk. Okay? If you're an abbot, let me ask them, and you can listen in if you like. Otherwise, I don't have time to teach them privately. Okay? If you're an abbot, let me ask these 2, or any of you who's an abbot. If you're an abbot, what's wrong with this story? Old monk, what's wrong with the story?
Con thấy câu chuyện này là mấy thầy lớn nó bỏ chạy hết, bỏ có một mình chú nhỏ ở đó. Thành ra chú không có dám quyết định, tự nói như vậy thôi. Đáng lý là mấy ông thầy già đã phải ở lại mà giải quyết.
You see my problem? I have 2 abbots. I need to train them too. If I don't, who's going to train them? Same thing. If they're abbots, they're supposed to train the monks and nuns inside the temples. That's why I need to teach them. What is wrong with this story? Okay? I would not, if I were the abbot, okay, that abbot of his temple, of that temple, I have a serious problem with this kid. Okay? What are the problems? First of all, he says, take all the rice you want. We're not going to call the police. We're not going to do anything. Who gave him that authority? You think in the temple you do as you please? You can do anything you want? The only thing you think is right? Who gave that authority? This is when the abbot should beat him up because he's young, so he needs to be whipped. Okay? Should whip him and say, who gave you the authority? In a temple, especially you're a novice, you're supposed to ask for permission for everything you do. That's why you call a novice. You're an idiot. You have no wisdom whatsoever. That's why you always ask for permission. You are not entitled to say, take all the rice you want. You have no such authority. Not just a novice, but any sangha, a member, whether you're monk or nun. Okay? The temple is very structured. You do not take chances like that. You're given authorities. Okay? In the Chinese temples, I don't know about Korean temples, Chinese temple is very clearly delineated. Person in charge of the kitchen, person in charge of donation, person in charge of gu zhang, of the storage thing. Okay? So you have these responsibilities, and that's how we organize ourselves and preserve the assets of the Triple Jewel. He's just a punk. How dare he say, who gave him the right to say, take it and go. You won't be in trouble. I won't call the police. We won't call the police. Who is he speaking for? I will beat him up. How stupid can you be? And then I would teach about compassion. And then if I said, if I were you, if you really have any wisdom whatsoever, you should have said, take it back. That I can forgive you. But I cannot forgive you for telling them to take all the rice you want. That's not forgivable. You don't have that right. But if you told them that take one bag of rice or 2 bags of rice, you're strong, 3 of you are stronger, I would accept it because it's out of compassion. You understand? It's not right or wrong. When you behave out of compassion, okay, it means out of wisdom, it's defensible. But you can't do just like he did. I can't stop him anyway, and these people are poor anyway, so take them. It's wrong. He doesn't have that authority. It means that he's stealing from the Triple Jewel. It's a very serious offense. He'll be dead. You don't want to steal from the Triple Jewel, especially when you're a novice. So that's why it's the abbot's role. You hear young monk, huh? There's old monk and young monk. Okay, this is where it's called leadership. You have to stop them from creating offenses like this, which will get them in trouble. They cannot progress anymore. Lucky, this guy doesn't need any abbot. because this guy is not an ordinary novice or monk. But that does not preclude the abbot from absolve the abbot from his responsibility. I would call him in and would chide him and would scold him or even beat him up. You can't do this. And serve that an example for everyone. There is authority channels in the temple. You breach those boundaries, you will be punished. Get that straight. Know your place. Just because we relax doesn't mean there's no boundaries. Why I call you abbot? Why do you call him abbot? I don't call him you vice abbot. I don't call him vice abbot. I call you abbot. Why? Because you have responsibilities that a vice abbot doesn't have. Understand? It's called leadership. You, as an abbot, are responsible for, in my temples, are responsible for the continued improvement of the people in your temple. Get that straight. I put you there because you have responsibility. So this would stop him from making improvements. So the abbot should have chided him and said, don't you ever dare do that again. I will forgive you this time. Okay? And then you teach him. If you were to tell them to take a few bags of rice each or whatever, okay, then you can come back to me, report the story like that, okay? And then you said, Abbot, I need to repent. I stole from a temple to give to these people. It's my problem. You should repent. Okay? Then if you do it right, I will help you erase that offense. You don't do it right, I haven't taught you how to do that yet. If you don't do it right or do it wrong, I will not help you. That's what abbots do. Do you understand? We don't call you names just for the sake of calling you names. There's work to do. The people don't have any clues because you can be taught how to do it. They can't. Do you have any questions, Master Z? It's called leadership. They can screw around, they can mess up things, it's okay. But you still are responsible for their continued progress. That's why, in order to do that, you have to spot the things, the serious offenses will stop them from making progress. That's why you're there in Korea. Oh, by the way, congratulations, you improve again. So since you came to Korea, a year and a half now? What? A year and a half and you improved twice on your own. So you're doing something very right. That's what I thought of. It's important for me to teach both of you now. There's different roles, okay? So whatever you've been doing, continue to do that, okay? That's very good. I've been hands-off on purpose, and yet you continue to improve. So you're doing things very well. Excellent. All right? And furthermore, I want to thank your Korean supporters. They've been doing a good job supporting you. So that's part of their contribution as well. Okay? And I thank you all for doing that. Okay? You don't realize in order to cultivate, we need a lot of support, a lot more than you think. Okay? And without the proper support, he would have stumbled. He would have had a hard time. Okay. So you too, keep it up, because his being there, let me tell you, it's going to be very good for your country, very good for Seoul, very good for Cheongju. Okay. The economy is going to prosper, and good things will happen, and disasters will be avoided. So many, many good things. Okay, don't know about this COVID thing here. I'm getting upset with this COVID thing here. Okay, but the fact that if you're smart and you're lucky, you get more people to support the temple so that he can spend more time doing other things, that I can train him. Right now, tough luck. Okay, just too busy. All right. Any questions about this? Yes, spy number 2.
Master, so let's say that Dharma Master, that shaman venerable, he stole the rice from the temple and gave it to the bandit, and then he didn't repent to the abbot. Can the abbot forgive him, and then he would not be dealing with the karma? Is that possible?
Yes.
Oh, thank you.
If the abbot likes him, he might do that. The abbot hates his guts.
So that would be the same for us. If Master forgive us, then we...
If I like you, I might forgive you. I don't like you. Good luck. Okay. You hear, concubine? If you have a nasty temper, who's going to like you? You need a lot of help from everyone. To cultivate, you need help. You can't just say, I'm going to do it my own way. We'll never get anywhere. It's called Great Assembly because we are interdependent. Okay? And that's how we progress a lot faster. Okay? So that's the instruction for the young abbots to continue, and for them, the Koreans, continue, okay, to do what you're doing. Would you like to know what I want to tell the monk what to do, the old monk what to do in order to continue, to improve? Lift weight. Okay, now the secret is out. Okay? All right. Any other questions? Yes, 8.
Master, can I ask a stupid question? So the whole thing is the Hershang was running away. The instruction wasn't clear, as in if the novice was allowed to stay or they have to go with the abbot, why would he stay just by himself at this temple?
He's not by himself. There were a lot of monks with him, but they all ran away.
Should he ran away with them because he's still following the good knowledge advisor as his abbot?
No, he's there to defend the rights. Okay, continue. 154.
把土匪都给教化了，改恶向善。
He taught and transformed the bandits, and they changed their evil to goodness.
All right, you have this a lot. You have this Chinese expression a lot, and we need to do a better job translating it. Okay? 改恶向善 is a very important Buddhist concept. Okay? 改恶 is change the evil ways. 向善 is to turn towards goodness. This is a very important concept in Mahayana. If you have wisdom, you should be able to help people change their evil ways and go towards goodness, or turn towards goodness. So they're inclined to do evil things. So you get them to turn their ways. Xiang is to turn towards. Okay? I think I'm not Chinese, but that's how I interpret the xiang here. Okay? So you used to doing evil things, evil ways this way. You use the thing this way. Now you turn away from that. Xiang is you turn away from that. Okay? Towards goodness. The Chinese is very, very expressive. It's very beautiful imagery. They're used to doing evil ways, a certain evil ways thing here, okay, and have to turn away from it towards the opposite. It's beautiful imagery. And there's no turn. Change evil ways and turn. There's no E and D, ED. Oh, turn, no, there's an ED, that's correct. Because it's for past. And turn toward is no S. So there you go. This is what the Buddhists hopefully will be able to do. Okay, is you see, the world, worldly people are so used to doing evil things, bad things, by force of habits. Okay, and so therefore, it's our jobs. Let me emphasize, it's our jobs, because we don't do it, no one else will. Because we have the wisdom. Therefore, it's our responsibility, okay, to help people change their evil ways. Okay? And turn toward goodness. It's not talk. It is a job that we have to take seriously. Okay, you go ahead, conk. It's not about, it's just like you're a monk and you're a nun, therefore we are supposed to, you lay people are supposed to give us offerings and food and money and temples and so forth. No. We're here because we have to help. It is our jobs, in particular monks and nuns, to turn people towards goodness and by change their evil ways.
Hello?
Yeah, go ahead, Conk.
Oh, I just made comment about the 4-character word. In Korean culture, that's used commonly. Like everybody understands, and then we use it in the normal expression, culturally. So that's a surprise for me, that how Korean culture is deeply engaged in Buddhism, because everyone uses this 4-character word without knowing it's from Buddhist origin.
Yes, well, that's, by the way, that's why I'm so impressed with the Korean culture, because I see that you have tremendous Mahayana roots, because the Mahayana teachings are so ingrained in your culture, and that's why you have the roots. In other words, this is what you hear, and that's what you not only the Koreans, you Koreans, and I'm not kissing up to you, not only Koreans have the proper value system, you also act accordingly. Okay, I mean, this is the core of the Korean cultural values. Okay, it's like that. Whereas, in contrast, for example, the other Asian countries also have these Buddhist teachings as well. And they also talk about xiang shan, change evil ways and turn to goodness. And for example, the Chinese talk about that, Taiwanese talk about that, Vietnamese not so much, and so forth. Okay, so Japanese, I don't know. So, but the point is that people in other cultures talk about it because it's part of their literature, part of their teachings. Okay, however, they don't behave like that. They only talk. Whereas the Koreans, they actually behave like that because if they didn't, their peers will judge them. Whereas the other system, the other cultures, you talk like that, but it's okay, because no one really acts that way, and no one's going to say anything. Whereas over here, they say, "Oh, you're a bad person." So there's a lot of peer pressure in the Korean culture. Okay, whereas in the other cultures they don't, even though they have the same principles. That's the difference. That's why the Koreans have a lot of potential. Okay, and that's why I'm interested. That's why I went to Korea. Okay, because I saw such people. I'm challenging Koreans now. You see, you guys can catch up with your Abbot. I doubt it. I challenge all of you Koreans. See if you're going to catch up to my Abbot over there. Go ahead, Kong.
But in meanwhile, Shen Kong shared that the people younger, like in 20s or below, it's very different nowadays. So we had a lot of, quite few visitors in their 20s. There's a big gap in their value system right now. So that's very concerning. Their way of reacting to things is way different.
It's different times, different interests. Okay, in the older generations, this is how we are taught. That's how what's stressed in our educational system. Okay. For the younger generation, and not just in Korea, but also in Japan, also in Vietnam, and also in the US and so forth, they're not stressed those things. What the education now for the younger generation is more Western oriented, where they stress materialistic pursuits as a form of happiness. Whereas in older generations, you taught the proper things. Okay? You don't worry about happiness. You worry about doing the proper things. That's how we were brainwashed. But the young generation, they have no interest in that. They only want profit, they want to have fun, they want to have gratification, they want to love, they want sex, they want to drink, they want to have a good time. It's understandable. There's nothing wrong with that. Meaning that we as Buddhists, as Mahayana Buddhists, need to adapt and modify the message. It's still not necessarily 改恶向善, but in a different format. But it conveys the same thing. Why? Because I really believe this, okay? And so far, I haven't been able to do that because I'm struggling with so many issues, okay? But I feel that in the older generation, when you say about 改恶向善, it's like, it's natural. We say, oh, of course, that's a desirable thing to do. Everyone should do that. It's natural to us, okay? It's because in the prior generations, okay, we are before my father, before my grandfather, and so forth. We've been accepting these value systems. Okay, but now, unfortunately, for the young generation, the demons are running rampant. You would not believe it. The demons are out of control. For example, let's talk about facts. The U.S. Surgeon General, the guy that number one in health and welfare of this country, okay? He says there's a hidden cost. There's a very huge, serious danger from this pandemic thing here. This is a big problem that is not being addressed, which is mental illness. He says, in particular, because of this pandemic thing here, 51% of young people, girls, are suicidal. Okay? And that's not being addressed. They spend money buying vaccines, they buy and they give it to developed countries and poor countries and so forth, but they are not spending enough attention, paying enough attention to this huge problem. If you don't take care of our young people, who's going to replace us? Who's going to pay for our Social Security in the future? We have to take care of them. Okay? So the Surgeon General says, we have this serious problem, this illness problem. The people are depressed, they're killing themselves, men, young women, youngsters as well. And they're, with the pandemic thing here, they're more isolated. Okay? And then he says, he said further and said, this problem can be solved. I beg to differ. This problem cannot be solved by you. It's not possible for you to solve it. Because this problem is caused by demons. They're very powerful. They're way smarter, way more wicked and evil than the Surgeon General or Trump or anyone else. You guys don't realize how powerful these people are. The demons are so extremely dangerous. And they're rampant right now. It's a serious, serious problem. Yes, 6.
Master, if the demon is able to do all this to the people, on the other side of things is basically there's bodhisattva and other good spirit that can also do the same, correct? It seems the way you describe it, it seems like the demons have the upper hand right now. Is that the case?
Of course they have the upper hand.
But can the bodhisattva and the good spirit side push it to be on the good side?
Bodhisattvas, in order to do their work, need support. You guys are supporting charity work. You're supporting, material things. Whereas, for example, by the way, one more instruction for the 2 abbots. Okay? Remember this. Whatever, we are anti-DRBA. Whatever Master Shenhua's monks are doing, proclaiming and doing, we do exactly the opposite. Meaning that if they play musical instruments, we don't play musical instruments. You dare play musical instruments, I will beat you on the head. Okay, I will kick you in the butt. It's a big no-no for me. You don't sing. You hear me? You don't go and shake people's hands to make them feel good about you and about Buddhism. We don't give a damn if they feel good or feel bad about Buddhism. It's not a good use of your time. You don't build big temples. It's not your jobs. It's people like him's jobs, not us. If I want to build a big temple, for example, I ask for money. I say, I want to build this big temple. Let's do a fundraiser. You guys do a fundraiser, raise the money, and then I pick an architect, agree on the thing. You guys do it. I don't do it. It's not my jobs. Is it clear? I will not build a big temple. You build big temples. You raise the money. Do you understand? It's not my jobs. If you want me to go and help the young people, don't make me worry about my mortgage. While you are cultivating here, I have to worry about paying my bills. I buy a temple, I have to pay mortgage. And if I want to send a message to young people, educate the young people, I can spend time to devise a message and a way to get to them, okay? But I need time. I need money to do those things. Someone must have the vision to understand that it can be reversed. But it's not my job to go around and say, if I have to go do those things, plus also I have to raise money and do those and beg for money, I cease to be a monk. It's not my job to worry about money. So these visions of the visionaries, the philanthropists of the world, they're going after the wrong things. That's why they're supporting the wrong projects. They're neglecting the spiritual welfare of the people. They only focus on the physical welfare, physical needs. This is spirits that need help. The spirits, when they don't get enough help, they become depressed, they become manic because they are being manipulated by these demons. You would not believe it. I talk to so many smart people, successful people, people who are considered, pillars of society. They're so bipolar. One moment they're normal, next moment they're so manic. They're crazy. And they don't even know they're crazy. I would not marry those people, let me tell you. It is scary. Yes, 6.
Master, but the governors and the people in the power, they are not even addressing the physical well-being of the people, because they only care about vaccines right now. They don't even have for example, South Africa, they don't have clean water, food, but they do have a lot of vaccines. And not even the physical.
It's true. It's nature of the times. We are democracies now, republics now, okay? And that's why the majority of the economies are organized as republics, elections and so forth, okay? And it's a good thing. And because of that, there's political pressure of raising money and all those things. So that's why these people are not like the emperors of old in the ancient cultures, where the emperors have the wisdom, have the vision. He says, I know what's good for my country. Okay, the spiritual well-being for my country is a fabric of success and prosperity, not physical things, not material things. It's the spirit, so you need to take care of first and foremost. If you do that, the physical things, the physical well-being will follow naturally. But the people, now the leaders, political leaders, the politicians, are focused on the wrong side of the equation. They focus on the material, physical side only. They totally ignore the spiritual side. This is why it makes me very upset with Buffett. He should know better. He can make a huge difference. Instead of throwing money at physical things, plenty of Americans and non-Americans are doing that. He should be focusing on spiritual side. Hey, Buffett, when are you going to wake up? Man, you don't have much time left. And he's in a position to make a difference. He can understand that. That's why I'm so tough on him. That's his job, not my jobs. Yes, 4.
Thank you, Master. I think it's just so important to bring attention to the reality of the 51% of teenage girls that feel suicidal.
It is scary. We won't have babies anymore.
In my mid-40s, I can only imagine that for the next 20 years, I'll still be experiencing the ramifications of what's happening to children who are
We will all be experiencing it.
10, 15 years old right now.
Even if they don't kill themselves, okay, they are not normal. And if a mother is unhappy, all the children suffer. Not to mention the husbands. Poor husbands.
I'll let the husband's problems burn for the moment. My question is, what's a practical step a teenage girl with suicidal thoughts can take right now, Buddhist or not, to help themselves?
We need suicide prevention lines. We need therapists, make them more available to people. That's the first line defense. Do not allow them to kill themselves. Okay? Long-term meditation will fix the problem for at least a quarter of them. I don't mind saving a quarter of them first. I can do programs that will try to save 25% of these people. But I need a lot of resources. And plus, I'm old. I don't have time anymore. It's not my job, but I worry about the population. Yes, if these people die, if these people have psychological scars, the future generation will be in bad shape, and the demon will get worse and worse. Okay? Yes, 9.
From Mary Jo, Master, there is a plan to cut fees for mental health care providers that's pending before Congress right now. Mental health care is losing staffing by huge numbers right now.
Yeah, that's a sad thing. You know, the politician, this is why you cannot leave to the politicians. We, private individuals, have to take the bull by the horn and do it ourselves. If you give me the resources, I will sleep less and work more, because this cannot be ignored. That's why I will not build temples. I hire people to build temples for me. I don't have that kind of time. The things I can do better, people can do better than me in building temples. The things that I can do that are necessary. Understand? It's annoying to me. Why would you go build temples as a monk? Hire someone to do it. There are plenty of great architects, engineers, and so forth. There are demons there who are running rampant, and we need to keep them in check. Why am I doing this? I'm doing this because if they dare come to my temples, my abbots will beat the heck out of them. Why do you think they're there? You may think they're not doing anything, but the mere fact they're here, okay, is to give you protection, without which you cannot cultivate. With their help, that's what I'm free to go and do other things. Yes, 9.
Going back to the 4 words, 改恶向善. See why Wang is asking, does it mean don't do worldly things but doing it with wisdom?
No, this is about recognizing that the things that are called evil, they're bad. Bad for what? Bad for you. What's best for you? Stealing is bad for you. Killing is bad for you. Okay? Those are you. You should know that intuitively. But because everyone else is also doing it, because if you didn't, someone else would. Okay? You should know that those evil habits of yours are no good for you. Therefore, you should change them. That's the first thing that has to happen. How do you change them? Turn away from them 180 degrees. That's the opposite. That's a goodness right there. That's why I said, don't you dare sing, because you do the exact opposite. You understand? That's Gai Xiang Shan. You don't do those things. We're monks. Okay, and so it requires monks and nuns in general to teach people about what's evil, what's good, and so forth. And it's now the people should be encouraged to turn away from evil things towards doing good and being good. And that's a fundamental responsibility for level people. If you don't, if you didn't, who's going to do it? Politicians? Teachers? They're all struggling. Why do you think you're sitting here and having nothing to do? So that you're freed from these worldly pressure of making money, of paying bills, of cooking, okay? It's not for you to have a good life, a comfortable life. No! It's for you to have more time to do things that are so important that other people cannot do. Wake up. This is a life of ideals. Not for you to be comfortable. That's why I make you suffer. You're not supposed to be comfortable. If you don't, who's going to do it? Look around you. Time is of the essence. Yes. 6. I'm calm.
Master, I always like when you talk about seeds that are planted on the consciousness. And maybe like 2 weeks ago, I had a dream that I was kind of a seed. And I came to realize that maybe this whole situation with the world right now is a good opportunity for growth. Because when we want to grow, we have to be like the seed in the darkness, and we have to break apart in order to grow. So maybe this situation with the world, I take it as a great opportunity for change as a society.
I agree. It looks like they're winning right now. All I need is a few people like Warren Buffett who has the resources and say, let's do spiritual thing. Let's take care of the core of the root problem first. Okay? You guys don't have wisdom, don't understand, go for material things. It's a good thing too. People need to be fed. People need to be clothed. That's understandable. But those poverty, those sicknesses are because of horrible spiritual health. This is way before doctors, way before therapists. And who's doing anything about it? No one except us. And I will not do it unless the conditions are right. I do not go and beg for money. It's not my job. Yes, 6.
Master, you talk about Warren Buffett a lot, and I think you one time mentioned that he's pretty high level, probably wise, pretty wise. So right now he's not awakened from this. But do you think if he were to be awakened, would he be wise enough to know what to do? Or does he need instruction?
He doesn't know what to do. He knows how to make money. That's his specialty.
So
he doesn't know how to fix his problem.
In that case,
we know how to fix his problem because we're specialists. We don't specialize in making money. We specialize in dealing with demons.
Okay, so if he doesn't know what to do, what would your instruction would be?
I would ask the philanthropist, that's a good question. I would ask the philanthropist of the world, if Warren Buffett is too old and too senile now to remember who he's supposed to be, okay, I would ask for you, all you philanthropists out there in the world, take a chance, okay, invest in us. Let us do the spiritual well-being for the world. I start one country at a time. I would want to start in America first, then Korea, and so forth. I'm very methodical. Okay? It's never too late. But I don't have time. That's my problem. Okay? You guys are running out of time too. I'm gonna finally, one thing on this topic here, I will also give you a tip that Master YongHua did not give his disciples. You notice that his disciples are outstanding monks and nuns. You cannot deny that. Still not good enough for my taste, but they're outstanding for most standards, except for mine. Okay? So after he's gone, nothing happens. No more development. Okay? So what happened is people like Go Yin, okay, my generation of his disciples, he says, oh, if I knew that he's a great teacher, I would have meditated, would have cultivated more, instead of having to come to you. Okay, that's what Yin meant. Okay, that traitor. Spy number one, spy number two, they're all the same. Okay, they come because they have nowhere else to go. They're dissatisfied. Okay, this is who we are. Our Wei Yang is basically taking care of the people who are dissatisfied because they want to make progress, but they're not making progress. They want answers, but they're not getting answers. What are you going to do? I know that most of you have a relative who's depressed. Tell me I'm wrong. I'm not. They need help. What are you doing? What are we doing? It's a huge problem for us. It's a pandemic. It's an epidemic of humongous proportions throughout the world. So my point here is that Master YongHua had his things and his priorities and so forth, and he did a great job. Okay, he trained a lot of important people, very competent people. Okay, but now people in my generation, I came too late. I came 5-6 months before he died. So he didn't have a chance to teach me much. Okay, I wish I knew. I wish I knew that that he's a great teacher and he's a good trainer, so that I would go and shave my head and study with him a lot more. I'd be so much better off. Okay, so So my tip to you is that be dissatisfied. Are you making progress? You're not making progress? Look for somewhere else. Okay? You are here because many of you are dissatisfied and have not been making progress. Okay? But don't take it for granted. Time is running out. Towards the end of Master YongHua, in the last 5 years, 10 years, he didn't really teach anymore. He's just basically living just to be alive. He no longer taught. Anyway. All right. So, philanthropists and great visionaries of the world, you want to change the world for the better and worry about climate change. I worry a much bigger issue. The spiritual health of people. You take care of the spiritual health, then climate change will also be taken care of by some of them. Okay? Okay, we still have 20 more minutes. Let's make a deal. We stop at 9, okay? Continue, please.
于是乎呢，一般人认为这个沙弥不是普通的一个沙弥了，这他都特别注意了。将来是一个法门的一个人才呀。
Thus, people thought this novice is no ordinary novice. They paid special attention to him. They thought that he would be a talent for the Dharma door.
No, not the Dharma door. He would be a talent for the Buddha Dharma. See, Faman here, he's Chinese. His Chinese is not very precise because Master YongHua doesn't have the proper, educational thing. But here, what he means here, Ren Sai, he's a talent for the Buddha Dharma. Faman here means Buddha Dharma. Or you can even drop the Buddha for the Dharma. Okay? And this is, I'm lazy because there's so many mistakes left and right in the translation, Chinglish. But every now and then I would make the correction, or feel free to ask if you're not clear, because too many mistakes. Go on.
等到他20岁受了戒，受戒之后啊，就看这个佛经啊。
When he was 20 years old, he received full precepts. After fully ordained, he read the Buddhist sutras.
有的翻译的不太好，有的又翻译的不完全。
Some translations were not very good. Some translations were not complete.
有的翻译的有上卷就没有下卷，有的翻译的有下卷又没有上卷。
Some translations had the first row, but not the second. Some translations had the second row, but not the first.
这样他就发愿，发愿呢要到印度去取这个经。
Because of that, he made a vow. He vowed to go to India to bring back sutras.
那时候在中国的佛教也就和现在在美国一样。
At that time, in China, the Buddhism was like the Buddhism in America now.
根本就没有什么佛经，很少很少的，就有也很简单。
There were barely any Buddhist sutras, very, very few, and the ones they had were very simple.
摩腾竺法兰两位尊者翻译的42章经。
The sutras in 42 sections, translated by Venerable Matanga and Venerable Dharma.
因为当时这个印刷也没有这么进步，所以就是翻译出来的经典都互相抄写。那么抄写有的地方就会错的。
Because the printing technology was not as advanced at that time, the sutra translation was copied by hand, and many mistakes were made while copying.
那么很不圆满，他就发愿呢，组织一个团体征求所有的同志一起到这个印度去取经去。
So he vowed to organize a group. He solicited all his comrades to go to India to bring back sutras.
那么一征求就得到10多个人，那个20人的样子。这20个于是乎就从中国到印度去。
Once he solicited over 10, about 20 people agreed. Then these 20 people traveled from China to India.
当时和他一团的人，其中有这个慧景的，又有叫道正，有个叫慧英，又有叫慧微，其余的还有10多个，这名字也都不记得。
At that time, his group, including Hui Jing, Dao Zheng, Hui Ying, Hui Wen, the rest over 10 names I couldn't remember.
一起由中国向印度去走，所经过的地方。
Together, they traveled from China to India, the places they passed by.
有这个流沙就经过几百里路，完全都是这个沙，也没有水喝，困苦 基点。
One of those places had quicksand, several hundred miles of quicksand. It was full of sand and no water for drinking. It was extremely difficult.
又走到这个最不容易走的地方。
They also walked through the place where it was most difficult to walk through.
连一个飞鸟也没有上边，下边呢，连一个走兽也没有。
Through that place, there was not even a bird, not even a beast.
飞行走兽都断了，何况人呢？
Even birds and beasts were extinguished there, not to mention humans.
简直这个地方就没有生物，没有活的东西。
There was no living creature in that place. There was nothing alive in there.
又有一种热风，这种热风呢，人被这个热风一吹，就头迷眼花。
There was also this hot wind. This hot wind. Once people were blown by this hot wind, they would become dizzy and have blurry vision.
躺那地方就什么都不知道，就死过去了。这热风的这个力。
They would lie there without knowing a thing and pass out. That was the hot wind.
还有一种赌鬼，这种鬼呀，他也见不着人，人也见不着他，因为
There was also a kind of poison ghost. This ghost can't see people, and people also can't see him.
他所住的地方呢，太毒了。人呢，一闻见他这种毒气，就像你在种嘎子差不多。嘎子一放出。
Because the place he was living was too poisonous. Once people smell his poison gas, it was like smell the gas nowadays, that gas.
一种毒气把人都毒死了。这个恶鬼呀，大概就有这个嘎死毒。
He released this kind of poisonous gas and poisoned people to death. This evil ghost probably had this poisonous gas.
所以他放出这个嘎死这个毒气，就被人都熏死。无论谁一见着他，就一定是死。
So, the gas he released, the poisonous gas, could kill people. No matter who met him, one would die for sure.
咱们这个法显法师带领这一团人呢，也经过这种种的这个难的地方，不容易走的。
The group led by Dharma Master Fa Xian passed by those difficult and hard to walk through places.
又遇着在这个通岭之外，这个地方大约就是 终南山，进终南山那一带，有一个独龙。
Outside of Tongling, which was probably a Zhongnan mountain, near Zhongnan mountain, they met a poisonous dragon.
这个毒龙呢，它也吐这个毒物啊，在这个风里边呢、雨里边呢，去夹杂它这种毒，人也受不了。
This poison dragon spitted out this poisonous fog inside of the wind and rain. People couldn't survive this.
可是这个法显法师和他这一些个同参道友，明明知道是不能走这个地方，但是没有去。
Dharma Master Fa Xian and his co-cultivators obviously knew they couldn't walk through this place.
他的路可走啊，于是乎啊，就是冒险呢，冒着生命的危险来为求法向前走。
But because there was no other path, they took the risk. They risked their lives to seek the Dharma, to walk forward.
走的有的地方啊，那个山没有路可走，是以前的人呢，在这个山石头上啊，凿的这个窟窿。
Some places in the mountains, along the way, there was no path to walk on. Past travelers drilled many holes on the rocks on the mountain.
一个窟窿一个窟窿的，要用这个木头橛子，木头，放在这个窟窿里头，用脚蹬着上一脚。
One hole after another, one needed to use this wooden stake, put it inside a hole, and climb on it.
再把下边那个拿出来，再往上。
With each step up, one needed to pull out the stake in the lower hole and put it in an upper hole.
按一个，这一个人呢带4个这个木头橛子，这个脚放到这个橛子上，把那个又拿起来，又往上放一个。
Everybody carried 4 of these wooden stakes. This one put his foot on this stake, and that one would pick it out and put it above.
一点一点的往上爬那个山石啊，那个地方啊，人人都是这么走。
Little by little, they climbed up to the ridge. That place. Everybody climbed like that.
走他们20多个人呢，把这条路走完了，走了3天，3天走完了。
There were over 20 of them. They finished this stretch in 3 days. They finished it in 3 days.
少了12、13个人，12、13个人都是滚下去死了。
And there were 12 to 13 people less afterwards. 12 to 13 people rode down the mountain and died.
他们又往前走，又往前走，就走到小雪山。
They continued walking forward, and arrived at a small snow mountain.
小雪山这个地方，太冷了，冷的把这个慧景啊，就冷得打战战了，就对。
On this small snow mountain, it was too cold, so cold that Huijing was shivering.
这个发现说我是不能同你们去了，我是现在要死了。
Therefore, he said to Fa Xian, he said, I can't go with you. I'm dying.
Okay, let's stop here, as we agreed. Okay, and so it's now you know why Master YongHua forgot the 10 names. Those are the one who rode down the mountain and died. I shouldn't be joking like this. I know it's kind of cruel. But one can't help but wonder, why do you convince 20 people to go? Why so many mouths to feed, to clothe, pay for the airfare or transportation and stuff like that? It's weird. Anyway, it has ways of taking care of itself. You drop up half of them down the mountain. Just kidding. Oh, you guys are so serious. Okay, thank you everyone. And see you next time.